So picture this. You're flying in a dream, right? And you are just about to unlock the ultimate secret of the universe.
Oh, yeah, like maybe you just found a hidden door in your childhood home or something like that.
Exactly. You are a split second away from reading a letter that explains literally everything. And then, bam, you just wake up.
Right, which we usually just write off as, a random brain hiccup. Or maybe the room got too cold.
Yeah, but what if the reason you woke up wasn't biological at all? I mean, what if it was literal physical gravity pulling your soul back to Earth?
It completely upends how you look at the mechanics of your own consciousness, because you are taking these abstract spiritual concepts, things like karma and sin and destiny, and anchoring them directly in the physical forces of the universe.
Which is wild.
Right. In this model, you didn't wake up because of a neuron firing. You woke up because your soul simply didn't have the escape velocity to stay in that higher dimension.
Well, that is exactly what we're getting into today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. We are looking at a really fascinating translated 2006 text by a writer named Feng.
Yeah, it's titled The Law of Gravitation of Life Advanced Practice 1.
And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack this incredibly unique, highly mechanical philosophical framework, because the author is attempting to merge Newtonian physics, Eastern theology like Buddhism, and Western theology like Christianity.
All into one unified theory.
Exactly, to explain human suffering, reincarnation, and how we might finally achieve that spiritual escape velocity.
But setting the stage for you, the listener, is really crucial before we dive into these mechanics.
Definitely.
Because this source text contains some deeply intense, highly provocative religious and philosophical views, especially regarding family, marriage, and the inherent purpose of human suffering.
Right, and we should be clear, our goal here isn't to endorse these viewpoints.
Not at all. We just want to impartially map them out. We're trying to understand the author's worldview exactly as it is presented in the text, almost treating it like a mathematical system that we are trying to decode.
Yeah, we're just your tour guides through this incredibly dense, slightly intimidating landscape today.
But I promise, by the end of this deep dive, you are going to look at incredibly simple, daily acts like feeling homesick or, I don't know, even just accepting a free cup of coffee from a coworker in a completely different light.
A potentially terrifying light, honestly.
Oh, sure. So to figure out how to escape any system, you first have to identify the invisible forces holding you inside it.
Yeah.
And the text introduces this concept called the law of gravitation of life. Now, in mainstream physics, gravity is a product of physical mass, right? Like planets, stars, black holes.
Sure.
But here, gravity exists between what the text calls destined lives.
Wait, so gravity isn't just a planetary force. It's like a highly personal, interpersonal tether.
Exactly. And the magnitude of the gravity between you and another life is mathematically determined. It's directly proportional to the amount of debt you owe them, and inversely proportional to the favors you have granted them.
Okay, so the more debt you accumulate, whether that's you owe someone money or emotional support or a karmic favor, the heavier your spiritual gravity becomes.
Yeah, it adds literal mass to your existence.
Man, it's like spiritual credit card debt.
That's a great way to put it.
And the interest rate on that debt isn't financial. It is measured in physical mass, anchoring your soul to the earth.
Right. If you owe a balance, you are heavy. But if you give to others, if you grant favors without expecting anything in return, you generate what the text calls reaction forces.
And those push you upward.
Yes, you become lighter, more buoyant. And the author actually points to relatable human experiences as empirical evidence that this gravitational pull is a physical reality.
Like what?
Well, take near-death experiences. We constantly hear stories of people whose souls leave their bodies floating toward a light or a higher plane.
Right. Yeah. Yep, and then they get pulled back and wake up in a hospital bed.
Exactly. The text argues that isn't a medical miracle or some hallucination. That is the Earth's spiritual gravity reeling the life force back because that specific person still has outstanding debts on the planet.
Oh, wow. That perfectly explains the dream analogy we started with.
It does. The text explicitly claims that when you arrive at a beautiful, elevated place in a dream and suddenly awaken, it is the attraction to life, this karmic gravity pulling you back down.
So the universe audits your account in real time and basically says, sorry, your earthly debts are too heavy. You aren't cleared for this altitude.
That is exactly it. And this same gravitational law governs our waking emotional lives too. Like, consider homesickness.
Okay.
The author quotes a Punjabi phrase, East-West, home is best, and shares this fascinating historical anecdote about Emperor Lifechanyuan of the Tang dynasty.
Oh, right, when he was sending the monk Xuanzang off to India.
Yes. The emperor told him to cherish even a pinch of mud from your homeland more than a ton of gold from other places.
That imagery is so striking. I mean, valuing a pinch of mud over a ton of gold. Usually we just frame homesickness as pure nostalgia. Warm, fuzzy memories of childhood, familiar smells, that sense of safety.
But the author completely strips away all that sentimentality. Why are our homes so attractive?
Because we owe them.
Yes, the mountains, the rivers, the soil of our native land, they cultivated us. The local ecosystem fed us. Our communities raised us.
Wow, okay.
So by receiving all these biological and social benefits, we accrued massive, unavoidable debt to the very geography of our birthplace.
So that deep, visceral longing you feel for your hometown isn't nostalgia at all.
No, it is literal spiritual gravity reeling you back in. You owe the land, so the land attracts you.
So the land itself has this gravitational hold on us, and every favor we accept adds mass to our soul. What happens when the biological clock runs out? I mean, death can't be an escape if we're still weighed down by all this accrued mass.
Death is really just a temporary phase change in this model. The law of gravitation dictates a deeply mechanical view of reincarnation.
Mechanical how?
Well, you don't just randomly reincarnate into a new body or float around as a ghost. Your life force will gravitate toward the exact world, the exact geography, and the exact situation where you were over debt in your previous life.
Wait, so if you are listening to this on your morning commute right now, think about the $20 you borrowed from your roommate. According to this text, your failure to Venmo them back might literally turn you into their houseplant in the next life.
A houseplant they eventually forget to water, perhaps?
Oh, man.
But seriously, the examples provided by the author are intensely specific, honestly punitive. If you die owing a severe debt to a person, you will return to serve them.
Like as a servant.
You might reincarnate as a human in servitude, sure. Or moving down the biological ladder, you might return as their ox, their horse, their dog, or their sheep, forced to perform physical labor until that ledger is balanced.
So the species barrier offers absolutely zero protection from karmic debt collection.
None whatsoever. And if you owe a debt to an animal, perhaps by hunting it or mistreating it, you will return as an animal. The text even posits that you might return as a plant specifically cultivated to be eaten by that animal.
Because the universe demands a balanced equation.
Exactly. Energy taken must be returned.
This brutally efficient accounting system completely redefines how we're supposed to look at our interpersonal relationships. I mean, the text tackles the Buddhist concept of predestination, right?
It does.
And when most of us hear about predestination or soulmates, we picture the classic red thread of fate, romantic match across 1,000 miles drawn together by destiny.
But the author views that red thread not as romance, but as a collection agency's tether.
Yikes.
In this framework, predestination is nothing more than the mathematical combination of debts and favors.
So that invisible thread pulling two souls together across a crowded room or across the globe.
It's the inescapable gravity of debt. You are being pulled into that person's orbit strictly to settle an account.
Which leads into what I found to be the most jarring viewpoints in the entire document, the author's perspective on marriage and family.
Yeah, it gets intense here.
Because if love is just a mechanism for debt collection, the nuclear family becomes a very dangerous place.
The text leans heavily into this danger. It quotes a Chinese proverb stating that husbands and wives are foes, and it actually compares the institution of marriage in the mortal world to living inside a protracted lawsuit.
A protracted lawsuit. I mean, that is an incredibly bleak way to view a lifelong partnership.
It really is.
But it gets even more intense when the author pulls from Western theology to back this up. The text references the Christian Bible, specifically the book of Matthew, quoting Jesus to argue that a person's own family members are their ultimate adversaries.
Right. The specific quote from Jesus is, "For I have come to set sons at variance against their fathers, daughters against their mothers," concluding that foes shall be of their own households.
Okay, but to grasp the author's logic here, we have to look back at the mechanics of mass and gravity. Why are your parents and siblings your biggest obstacles to entering heaven?
Because they shower you with love, resources, and protection.
Right. So every single time your mother makes you soup when you're sick or your partner supports you through a tough time, they are doing you a favor.
And in this system, every favor received is a debt incurred.
Wow.
The goodness and loving kindness of a supportive family means you are accruing a mountainous, insurmountable debt to them every single day.
And because you owe them so much love and care in return, that immense gravity will absolutely force you to reincarnate back into the mortal world to repay them.
Exactly. The text explicitly states that any advantage, any benefit, or any comfort you derive from the mortal world acts as adhesive. It is gravitational glue restricting your soul from ascending.
But wait, if every single comfort, every act of love, and every supportive family member is actually a trap, we are basically doomed.
It paints a tough picture.
I mean, the only mathematical way out of this system would be to live a life of absolute zero comfort, rejecting all love and kindness, which goes against every biological survival instinct we have. It feels impossible.
Which is exactly why the author abandons basic biology here and points to the extreme teachings of both Jesus and Buddha to find a loophole.
Okay, tell me about this loophole.
Well, the text creates a fascinating synthesis of these two figures. The only way to break the gravity of debt is to endure intense, unprovoked suffering.
Unprovoked suffering.
Right. The author points to Jesus' teaching to turn the other cheek. If someone smites your right cheek, you offer the left.
Earlier I called it spiritual credit card debt, but based on this, the solution is aggressive spiritual liquidation.
That's a very accurate way to frame it.
It's like a corporation going bankrupt. You have to sell off every single asset, reject every comfort, accept all abuse, swallow all pride, and never ever seek revenge.
Yes.
You are fire-selling your ego just to get your cosmic balance sheet back to zero.
That aggressive liquidation is exactly what the author proposes. And to back up the Christian idea of turning the other cheek, the text brings in the Diamond Sutra.
From Buddhism.
Right. Buddha explains that if a virtuous person is despised and treated with contempt by others, it is actually a cosmic mechanism for eradicating their karmic sins from past lives.
So you are liquidating your assets. And the text actually provides two very specific business models for how to accomplish this on a daily basis.
The metaphors of the cow and the candle?
Yes. We are instructed to live like cows, meaning we consume only grass, the absolute bare minimum, cheapest input required for basic survival, but we produce high-value milk for others.
And the modern equivalent of the cow would be working a grueling job, taking only enough money to afford basic sustenance, and giving every other cent and ounce of energy away, expecting no gratitude.
Sounds exhausting.
It gets harder. The candle metaphor is even more absolute. We must burn ourselves completely away to give light to others. The text states, "As long as we live, we will exhaust ourselves fully to pay back the debts." This requires absolute obedience to parents without a shred of resentment, yielding constantly to your spouse in that protracted lawsuit we talked about.
And raising your children while actively expecting zero love or support from them in return.
Yes.
Because if you expect your children to take care of you when you are older, you are trying to create a debt that they owe you, which just tangles everyone back up in the gravity web.
Exactly. You have to give them milk and expect nothing.
It's just wild.
The profound paradigm shift here completely rewires human emotional response. Under this law, if a coworker sabotages you or someone insults you on the street, your biological instinct is anger or victimization. But the author argues you should be thrilled.
Thrilled that someone is bullying you.
Completely overvoid, because by making you suffer, that bully is acting as a mechanism that pays off your karmic debt.
Oh, I see.
They are foolishly taking on the negative karma of hurting you, adding mass to their own soul, while you get the benefit of your spiritual debt being erased. They are making you lighter at their own expense.
Okay, let's say I manage to do this. I live like the grass-eating cow and the burning candle. I suffer joyfully when people insult me. I get my spiritual mass down to zero. How do I actually escape Earth's orbit?
Well,
Because this is the point in the text where the author suddenly pivots from ancient theology straight into literal astrophysics.
yeah, the transition is really startling. The author takes Isaac Newton's laws of motion and applies them directly to the non-material world of the afterlife.
Right.
Just as a physical satellite needs a specific velocity to break Earth's gravitational pull, a human soul needs specific cosmic velocities to reach different tiers of heaven.
And the text doesn't just use this as a vague metaphor. It gives us the exact mathematical data, the precise speeds required to reach paradise.
It lays out 3 distinct celestial levels. To reach the first level, which it calls the 1,000-year world, Your soul must achieve the first cosmic velocity, which is 7.9 kilometers per second.
And interestingly, in real-world physics, 7.9 kilometers per second is the actual orbital velocity required for an object to circle the Earth without falling back down.
Exactly.
So 7.9 kilometers per second just gets your soul into the lobby of heaven. You're in orbit, but you haven't escaped.
Correct. To escape Earth's orbit entirely and travel further to reach the 10,000-year world, your soul needs the second cosmic velocity, which is 11.2 kilometers per second.
Okay.
And finally, to reach the ultimate paradise, the Elysium world, you must hit the third cosmic velocity, 16.7 kilometers per second.
Man, the precision is just so unexpected.
The author insists that while we are discussing spiritual energy, the underlying physical principle is absolutely factual. If your soul does not generate the minimum required thrust, you cannot escape the gravity of your lower-level debts.
But the math here creates a massive problem.
So?
If I have been reincarnating for millions of years, living as an ox, living as a plant, living as a person trapped in a lawsuit of a marriage, I have accrued an unfathomable amount of debt over eons.
True.
So, living like a candle and a grass-eating cow to pay off millions of years of debt, one unprovoked insult at a time, is going to take millennia. How does a normal person generate enough upward thrust to hit 16.7 kilometers per second in a single, short, human lifetime?
That's a great point, and the author recognizes that bottleneck. It's mathematically impossible to clear millions of years of debt one interaction at a time.
Right.
So the text provides an ultimate shortcut, a universal hack to the system. The solution is to dedicate your life to helping construct something called Lifechanyuan.
Wait, pause. What actually is Lifechanyuan? Are we talking about building a literal temple? Is this a metaphorical era, a political movement?
According to the broader context of the author's work, Lifechanyuan is a comprehensive blueprint for a new era of human society.
Yeah.
It's an entirely new global paradigm the author is trying to initiate, where traditional human frameworks like separate countries, distinct religions, political parties, and even traditional family units are dissolved in favor of a unified, universal community.
So it's a utopian overhaul of the entire human operating system.
Exactly. And the logic of the shortcut is based on scale. If you spend your life just helping your neighbor, you pay off one tiny localized debt.
Makes sense.
But if you participate in ushering in the Lifechanyuan era, you aren't just helping individuals, you are fundamentally upgrading the operating system of the entire planet.
Wow.
You are benefiting all of humankind, all animals, all plants, the rivers, the lakes, the sea, and the sky itself by bringing them into harmony.
So by doing something that theoretically benefits the entire architecture of nature, you generate a massive universal amount of merit all at once.
Yes, the text states that this specific act accumulates merits so extraordinarily great that they are sufficient to offset all debts you have ever owed to all forms of life throughout all of time.
Like a universal debt jubilee.
Exactly. It wipes the slate completely clean in one monumental action, providing that explosive initial velocity needed to reach Elysium.
Okay, so while building a global utopia is the grand goal, the text also distills this philosophy down into very practical, rigorous daily steps for the reader, like rules for living right now to stop accumulating gravity.
The daily practice is demanding. First, the text strongly advocates being a vegan or at least a vegetarian.
Because animals are destined lives too.
Right. If you intentionally kill or eat an animal, you are taking its life, which is the ultimate debt you can incur. You free the animal from its earthly coil, but you shackle yourself to its karmic ledger.
It is freed, but you are shackled. That is a deeply haunting way to look at eating a hamburger. You aren't just consuming calories, you are absorbing the animal's earthly debts.
Yeah, it changes dinner entirely.
Another vital daily step the text outlines is to bless your enemies. If you complain, if you seek revenge, or if you hold on to hate, you are actively tying new knots in that gravitational thread, adding mass to your soul.
And perhaps the most difficult daily rule for a modern person to swallow: never accept favors read aloud.
Oh, this rule goes against all our social conditioning.
Yeah.
When someone offers to help us or gives us a birthday gift, our instinct is to accept it graciously to make them feel good.
But the text warns that the second you accept a favor, it instantly becomes a debt.
Right.
By accepting a gift, you relieve the giver, you allow them to do a good deed and become lighter, but you trap yourself by taking on their excess mass.
So you just can't take anything.
To sum up the text's overarching economic philosophy, you must ensure that what you gain corresponds exactly to the effort you put in. If you get a windfall, if you receive an unearned bonus, or even if you just experience excess comfort in your daily life, That isn't a blessing.
That excess is pure, unadulterated debt. It
Exactly.
truly requires a complete rewiring of how you perceive reality. It brings it all together to summarize an experience that is completely upside down from the modern norm.
Yes, it does.
In this worldview, hardship is sweet. Enjoyment is a trap. Your beloved family is an obstacle course of debt, and your worst enemies are actually your greatest spiritual benefactors.
It forces a profound reevaluation of our priorities. Because if the law of spiritual gravity dictates that any excess we possess is actually a crushing debt we owe to the universe, how does that reframe our modern society's absolute obsession with wealth and abundance?
That's a huge question.
We live in a culture that praises having it all, the big house, the luxuries, the endless conveniences, the massive network of people doing favors for us.
Yeah.
But through the lens of this text, in our pursuit of having it all, are we actually just tying the heaviest possible weights around our own ankles, guaranteeing we can never, ever fly?
Man, that is a thought that will stick with you the next time you audit your life. I mean, the next time a coworker offers to buy your lunch or you feel a sudden pang of homesickness,
Yeah.
you might find yourself pausing and wondering, what is really pulling the strings?
You definitely will.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll be back next time to unpack another fascinating worldview. Until then, stay curious.